looking out onto my eyelashes in an agony of delightful anticipation.
Listen to them, the children of the night. What music
From the D&E studios, welcome to the Dracula Podcast. I am your host, Lawrence Burgess, or LB for short. Thank you to my producer, Adam Stover, Rob and Martha of Southgate Media, and most of all, you for listening. So you've had the show before, and you talked about the Dracula show on NBC, and it's gone now. So why am I here? We from D&E, we aim to bring you thoughtful and stimulating media. What we're doing is reviewing the films, the books, the music, and plays that make Stoker's creations so beloved, and the criticism necessary to inform your purchasing decisions. You want to have interesting guests, and touch on the needs of our communities, because as members of the media, we view what we do as a public service, especially here on the Dracula Podcast. So how to get in touch with us? Send us your questions and comments to two places. One on Twitter at Dracula Audio, no spaces, or emails at audio.dracula@gmail.com. We will do our best to respond to queries immediately or on our show. So what are we doing? Well, two things. The first thing we're doing is we're gearing up for season 2 of perhaps the greatest television show in the history of creation, which is Penny Dreadful. It's on Showtime, and as of last week, the 10-episode second season premieres on May 3rd at 10 p.m. on Showtime. There is no excuse not to watch this thing. We're going to prepare our listeners for the second season, and we'll be touching on each episode of Penny Dreadful, chronologically. Whenever we get there, we will be preceded by the tagline, spoilers, so don't worry. But again, seriously, there is no excuse to be spoiled at all. Go out and buy a copy of the first season. Blu-ray, not DVD. Get a Blu-ray. If you don't have a Blu-ray player, go out and buy one. That's ridiculously cheap. It's $21.99 at Amazon at the time of this recording. If you're not into that, go to your Walmart/Target/Best Buy. These folks price match. Again, Blu-ray, not DVD. $21.99. There's more than excellent value here. Penny Dreadful Season 1. Because we will be spoiling the show, and we want you to watch it. It's fantastic. Take my word for it. So what else are we doing? We are preparing to release a fully dramatized audio version of Dracula, the book, the thing that really started it all. A full voice cast, sound effects, and musical score. If you know me, you know that I've spent the last 18 months on this project, and it's close to being done. Right now, I'm applying the effects down, and the score's getting made, and I can tell you it's nothing short than excellent. If you've listened to the beginning of this show, you may have heard a little bit of what is to come in demo form, but we aim to release it around Q3 of this year. So please stay in tune, and I will, of course, give you all the details as they come. So what's the show going to be like itself? We can tell you for a fact this isn't going to be a 2-hour rambling show. People are busy, and we understand that, so we want to give you the best we can in a very tight, efficient manner. We don't believe in long, rambling speeches. What we really believe in is giving you the information in an entertaining fashion, and letting you make the decisions yourself. You know what you want, you don't have to hear it again. And honestly, I've heard so many podcasts and radio shows that would do well by cutting their time, instead of extending it with filler. If you're looking for a 2-hour show, this is not the place for you. But if you're looking for something lively and entertaining and where we strive to be the very best, then you found us here at the Dracula Podcast. So who am I and why am I here? My name is Lawrence Burgess, or LB. Most folks call me by my initials. And I graduated in 2010 with a Master's in Media Studies Film from West Virginia State University. I have been very fortunate to be recognized for my work in filmmaking and screenwriting from Amazon Studios, West Virginia State University, the West Virginia Writers Incorporated, as well as a few other places like the Colony Film Festival. As such, I'm extremely appreciative to have been directing, sound design, voice talent on a variety of narrative films, documentaries, and projects. So, I began the journey into Dracula in August 2013, where there was a small, loosely based Facebook group where they wanted to bring audio where folks could listen for free on YouTube. And I auditioned, and thankfully I got the lead, Jonathan Harker. However, that fell apart because it was rather too large. If you've read the book, you know it's 27 chapters. It's over 161,000 words long, and it's just a phenomenal task. Well, when it went away, I felt the need that this story really deserved the full treatment. It deserved a full musical score, multiple voice actors, truly great people with unique voices. It deserves the sound effects. It deserves the life that a classic like this has never had before. I sat down, I planned it out, I hired the crew, I adapted the script. We had over 120 people come out for auditions, and we chose the best 25 or so. And I'll tell you, I was so blessed to be the director of this thing, to have such unique people as John Johnson, Ethan Livers, Andrea Parkins, Megan Jett. The list goes on. Brent Kessinger. We had people who did multiple roles like Kenny Bass, Lauren Allen. So many. It goes on and on and on. But if you see a person's name on this list, they are the very best talent. We've had to turn away dozens and dozens and dozens of people, not because they weren't good, but because what we have is so very special. So it introduced me to the book, and it's close to being released, and it's transcendent. That's really the only word that I can put it, because the score is so good. Our musician, the person who's doing also our mastering, his name is Greg Hunt, and his company is the Foxborough in Charleston, West Virginia. He's doing things with music that haven't been done before. I'm so appreciative of his efforts, and the crew. My executive producer, Michael Campbell, he's a longtime friend, and he knew that my crazy idea would work, and my partner in crime, Adam Stover, who sat with me long days in the studio, and we're still editing, and I'm so appreciative to him and everyone involved, and I appreciate you giving me this 2 or 3 minute block to thank everyone involved. Here's just a small sample of what the production like, its tone. This is Ethan Livers, our Jonathan Harker, talking about his favorite scene in the book and how it translates into his performance.
I think, and I think I've said it before, but my favorite was definitely the whole first coming to Dracula's castle, being just so dumbfounded with everything that he sees and observes there. And Jonathan Harker is so analytical that when he tries to analyze a place like that, a place so dark and so twisted and demonic, really, it's too much for him. And so he becomes unraveled. And everything that he thought was secure, his marriage and his job and they're all kind of unraveling before him. And so does his mind.
If you're part of Dracula the audio drama, and you can hear my voice from the very bottom of my heart, thank you. And believe me, we will not let you down, I promise. So we're aiming to have our first guest on next week, and every week we should have a guest segment, about 10 to 20 minutes, allowing the guest to touch on their work, talk about the genre and the influence of the book specifically on their work. We're going to let them talk about their projects, and if we have a longer, interesting guest that may be longer than what we want, we're going to break that down into multiple parts. So again, we're going to keep it light, fresh, and on topic. As for the guests themselves, we've got national award winners, we have best-selling authors, we have talent. We're going to talk to some of the members of the cast and crew on Dracula the audio drama, and a few other surprises that I don't want to give away just yet, but you're going to like it. They have some very interesting things to say. This is an abridged version and an introduction to our podcast. But we are going to touch on one of the segments I noted before, and that is the causes, or I like to call one of the lights. As media personalities, we really recognize that we're representatives of our communities. We provide a very real public service, and we're thankful. Each episode, we're going to spotlight a charitable cause, notable story, or a person and family in need. This can be from newspapers, crowdfunding sites, or a shared social media post, something we can believe in and get behind. If you have something noteworthy for us to share, please send it to audio.dracula@gmail.com or on Twitter at Dracula Audio, no spaces. So we're going to get into that right now. I had a friend of mine message me. I had a commitment Saturday, February the 7th. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend. I'm looking at this, and it's actually the event was hosted by CharCon. CharCon hosted a Games Day benefit to the Riddle family. It took place at Saturday, February 7th at 10 o'clock a.m. at the Elk River Church in the Nazarene, and that is in Charleston, West Virginia. And I'm going to read directly from the Facebook page. And I quote, "Recently, Tom and Marnie Riddell, or Rydell, I'm not sure, suffered from a tragic house fire. They are active members of the West Virginia gaming community, and we want to help them out. All funds raised by this event will go to the Riddell family. If you don't want to wait to listen in the description and you're in your car, I'm about to give you the website. I'll give you a couple seconds to grab your pen, stop the car, don't text and drive, and here's the website. It's www.gofundme.com/J as in John, the number 8, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, Z as in Zorro, G as in Gold. That's www.gofundme.com/J8ETZ. And the name is Marnie and Tom Riddell Fire Recovery. Go there today, fund it. You can't go wrong by helping another human being. I want to let you guys know something. If you've ever been victim of a house fire or a house fire incident, and you've had to move yourself or your family out, it's a terrifying experience. I've never met Tom and Marnie Riddell, but I can tell you I know what it's like to suffer from an incident that can leave you with questions, with where's the next thing going to come from. And these are folks who really deserve your help. So if you click the link below, go to that page, donate. Do it today. There's no excuse. There's no reason not to, because we're all in this together. We're all connected. Let's help our fellow human beings, okay? Let's get together and let's do this. Let's make a difference. I don't know how much money they've raised, but by golly, we're going to do better. Start today. So our last segment of the day is a media review, or as we call it,
the ghastly paraphernalia of our beneficial trade.
Where we take a piece of media, whether it be live action, animated, print, art, or sound. We're going to identify it and its context in the history of the character, provide analysis and criticize, and we're going to advise you on consuming it. Meaning, do you see it in theaters? Do you buy it on DVD? Do you buy it on Blu-ray? Do you stay away from it? Only watch it on streaming. We're going to inform you of that today so you have a better opportunity to make an informed purchasing decision. And the media we're reviewing today is the 1931 version of Dracula starring Bela Lugosi. It's the film that most people know. It's the image that is most associated with Dracula. And we're going to point out its strengths and weaknesses as we go on today. It was formed in 1931, and it was based off the John Balderston play. Why? Because the novel was very, very large, and Universal was having a bit of a financial struggle at the time. Carl Laemmle was the producer, and it was his son, actually, who wanted to bring horror to the screen, so they obviously couldn't adapt this novel, unfortunately, because I think Bela Lugosi would have done a heck of a job. The film itself is a little dated. The cinematography sometimes can be stiff. But when it comes to what horror films are, this is the very first horror film in sound. It's directed by Todd Browning and shot by Carl Freund. Freund himself would later direct The Mummy in 1932. And checking out IMDb, we've got the writing credits as Louis Bromfield, Todd Browning, Max Cohen, Dudley Murphy, and Louis Stevenson. Garrett Fort with the play script, taking the adaptation from Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderston. So what we have is a very abridged version of the story. We have Renfield playing a bit of Jonathan Harker. We've got Lucy and Mina playing somewhat smaller roles. We have Dr. Seward, who's a bit out of context but still there. We do not have Quincy P. Morris, we don't have Arthur Homewood, and many of the cast who make this such a big success. It's abridged. But it's very, very important. It's a piece of our film history. Bela Lugosi makes this thing pop. I'm not sure if there's another role that one actor has made so iconic. Because whenever someone knows Dracula, they identify it with Lugosi. Unfortunately, they don't know Stoker's work, but if you listen to this podcast, we're going to fix that. They don't know Stoker's work, but they know Bela Lugosi. They know the cape. He was so identified with this role that he was actually buried in his Dracula cloak. Other big-time performances in the movie include Dwight Frye as Renfield and Edward Van Sloan as Dr. Van Helsing. Should you watch this film? Absolutely. But honestly, there's really only one way to experience it. And don't let Universal fool you on multiple releases. We're about to give it to you right now. The Universal Classic Monsters, the Essential Collection, was a package released by Universal in 2012. It carried the English and Spanish versions of Dracula 1931, Frankenstein 31 and The Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy in 32, The Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera in 1943, The Wolf Man and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But honestly, the best example of film restoration and the loving detail given to the silver screen and its power and its transcendence and its lasting value is given to Dracula 31. What they've done with the sound is amazing. There was a constant hum that was present through the whole soundtrack, and it's now been removed. Every image has been cleaned up while not taking away from the director's original intent. This thing is a little pricey at $83.84, and you may be tempted to buy it on its own or via another package, but don't do it. This is the one to get. If you want to wait a little bit to buy it, go ahead. But go ahead and buy it in the collection. Universal Classic Monsters, the Essential Collection. Right now at Amazon, I see it at $83.84. And you can possibly pick that up cheaper on eBay or from a seller at Amazon, but it's truly amazing. It's 8 discs long. And on Dracula, the first disc itself, you get a few documentaries. It's very good. The Road to Dracula, which was actually released in 2004, I believe, with that silly movie Van Helsing. Lugosi, the Dark Prince, which focuses in on the actor himself. The Restoration of Dracula, which actually I believe is on YouTube by Universal, which I suggest you all watch. Archives, the alternate score by Philip Glass. Commentaries by David Scull, a film historian. Galleries, and so much more. There's tons of value in this thing, even if it's a little pricey, but it's astounding. It's in full 1080p, and take advantage of it. And Universal's really done a great job, and this is probably the best that I've seen in film restoration. So you've heard all the outlets preaching to you about seeing a film and how you should see it, or listening to an album, but it has no relevance to you. We're all fans of Stoker's work. We're going to provide that analysis, and Dracula 1931 is where we start. Please buy it on Blu-ray, and that's really the only way to experience it. Folks, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening and taking this small introductory journey into Dracula. We're going to be touching on Penny Dreadful very soon, but I want to give you guys a little bit of time to go grab that Blu-ray and watch it. Again, it's an amazing show, and honestly, we wouldn't mention it if it wasn't anything less than outstanding. Believe me, once you get into it and you focus in on the psychology of these characters, you're going to be hooked, just like we were from day one. So again, folks, thank you so much. Best wishes to you and yours, and a very warm and hearty goodbye, and we will see you next time. Have an excellent day.